What is the shift that we are all experiencing today? And how do we really begin to deal with it? Hi, I'm Auden Bush, and there is a name for this shift that we are all experiencing, and it's called the transformation paradigm. What is a paradigm? Well, a paradigm is a model, a pattern, a structure that we have been living with. And sometimes we're very conscious of that structure. Sometimes it's just become a part of what we do and it begins to shift and we're not quite so aware of it. And it can cause a lot of conflict inside of each and every one of us. So it's a paradigm that is shifting and it's a transformation in that paradigm. It means we're going from one point to another point. In a way, we've all done that in our lives. When we graduated from high school, that was a transformation. And in a way, a paradigm shift. When we graduated from college and we got our first job, that was a shift. And certainly, a lot of times, it was a transformation. You got married, you had children, maybe a relationship dropped away. All of those are transformations. It happens right now that we are in the middle of a global transformation paradigm. And how are we going to deal with it? And this is really oriented towards women because we women are feeling it a lot. What I hear from women in the way that we are experiencing this paradigm shift is that we feel this inner unsettledness, this yearning for something else, this knowing that we can be more, that we could matter more, we could be doing more. It's not that we want to be busier, but it's just that deep down voice that is saying we have a stronger presence that we have to live out. We hear a lot about the passion and are you following your passion? And it's interesting too because a lot of men are starting to take these workshops about following your passion. Before it was just women and it's still mostly women, but this is a part of the transformation paradigm. As people have opened to us all kinds of new choices. So when we look at how do we deal with this transformation paradigm, number one, we have to realize that we're all in it. We hear so much about Generation X, Generation Y, Generation Z. Well, those are all age related. This is Generation T. And it doesn't make any difference what age you are. We are all in this generation of transformation paradigm shift. So that's number one, is that we have to be aware of it when we begin to feel that discomfort within us, that I know I can be more, I know I can be doing something better, and might be content with where I am, but there's still that push inside that says, I know I meant to be more. So, number two, how do we begin to find that? For me, passion is connected to connection. Passion is a connection with our inner self. We've lost that connection. We've played roles, and we've had to do that in order to make ends meet, to work into the work world. After all, this is all relatively new. Relatively meaning within the last 100 years, which is not very much in the scope of all of history. We think that in 1800, there were really only about 10% of women in the workforce. In the early 1900s, there was really only about 20%. Today, it is 80% or more. And now that's a very short amount of time. When we first entered the workforce, It was factory jobs, it was teaching, it was nursing. Then all of a sudden, because there were many more universities and we could go to universities and many things were open to us that were not open to us before. And again, please remember, it has not been that long. So we're not used to, I have this yearning, this push, this feel, this voice inside of me and responding to it because today we have many choices. So we have to listen. And the first thing was awareness, being aware that we're in Generation T. The second is listening to that inner voice, giving it its due diligence, finding out what is it really saying to us. And then number three, begin to understand how you're going to act on it. And I have found it to be so important that when we start to act on it, that we have to understand who we are as natural human beings. Because, we go back in time hundreds of years, women had a certain role. Then we come forward and we moved into the workforce, which was a male role dominated workforce, which it would have been because men were the ones primarily in the workforce in the early 1800s when corporations were being formed. And now it is more women are in that workforce. So we're looking at a completely different paradigm that has really started to shift. That paradigm of what we do, how we do it, is understanding we now have more choices. So that little voice inside is waking up and saying, we have choices and we need to really follow that. So one was aware of the Generation T, two is listen, three is learning how to follow that voice, understanding who each of us is individually, how we're hardwired as an individual, how we're hardwired as a woman, then how do we come forward with the strengths that we have as a woman? Our primary strengths are what I call the 4 C's: collaboration, cooperation, communication, orientation. That's not a C, I just forgot the 4th C. Collaboration, cooperation, coordination, and communication. That is really what our gifts are. Those are the way we are hardwired. And isn't that the exact thing that the world is asking for right now? And as we are all involved in this Generation T, we women are hearing that yearning inside of us that says, I want to get out. I want to do more. So follow that path. And we have a program, Ignite Your Passion, or do some reading, but listen to that yearning inside. It has something very important for us, for that Generation T. Thank you very much.